We're going to restart this big tank here. We're going to do it slightly differently as well, as in I have a different approach to how I'm going to set up this tank. We're going to fill it with water. We're going to add our salt because these are Opae Ula. And what that means, guys, is we have to hit a certain salinity. For them, it specifically is 1.010 parts per million or 1.015 parts per million. So we want something within that little range, right? And to get that as well, guys, we're going to use a thing called the refractometer, which I have lying about somewhere in this room. And yeah, so the beginning of the video, guys, is the first thing that we must do is actually fill it with water, right? So I'm going to take you guys over here. We're going to have a little look at the setup and then we're going to fill it. Okay, Shrimp Fam, a lot of you have asked to have a little specific look at my setup for my water, and it has changed a little bit from our previous video, as in I've actually made sure to change out this hose here for food grade PVC hose instead of your standard garden hose, because this won't leach anything into the water like the other one probably was doing, because I was seeing a difference in the reading. Right under here, over this side, you can see my reverse osmosis unit. It wraps itself around the boiler around the back here and comes in via a float valve. Let's go over and have a little look. The water is dripped into this container. Now this container takes an entire day to fill up, but it is about 190 litres, maybe 200 litres if it was filled all the way to the top. And the way I like to do it, guys, is I like to have a lot of oxygen going through this while we are preparing water. I do plan to have it in a way that means that this is just going to be a reverse osmosis container, and I'm going to work out another way to do it where I'm mixing my water for different tanks, because I want to keep this pure. It's very hard to keep this at a low conductivity. So let's have a little look just to give you guys an idea how clean and clear this water is. Right, this device is a conductivity meter. Let's switch it on. I'm going to put it in now. And normally in a household, anything under 100 is very clean water, right? So I'm not sure you guys will be able to see it. You probably can, right? So this is 2. This is pure water, this. I probably should actually change one of my DI resin filters that's on the side. Let me quickly show you that as well, because I have them in a line here and you can see the bottom one slightly changing color. Right, and the way I do it, guys, is when I replace my filters, I always put the newest one on last. Right, so you're never overusing your DI resin and you're getting more and more use of it. Right? I like to use 2 like this. So let me think about this. I can't remember exactly the way I did it before. I think the newest one is the top one, the oldest one is the bottom one. And we swap them out, right, just depending on what these readings are on this little device here. Right? So as I said, I like tons of water, tons of oxygen, and this, and you can see, this is the stuff that you buy for like koi ponds and whatever. And inside here I have a large pump that is used for circulating water out of drains, if you have spills and anything like that. I'm not going to lift it up because I'll probably knock it out of its position for pumping, right? And we need to pump that water over here, right? So let's have a little look at this stuff here. Food grade PVC here. I was just leak testing all these joints right now before we go any further. On this end, I put a little T-joint like this. You can just see what this is, guys. This was made by heating up the joints with this big heat machine thing I got off my friend Peter. And then you push the joints together while the plastic is still very hot and it just holds. This is how they do plumbing, I think, in Czechia. So yeah, that is how we're going to do it. So what we need to do next, guys, is put this end into the tank. I actually thought a good position for you guys to be, if you can see me here, my beautiful face just in the corner here. I thought a good place for you guys to be while I was filling the tank is for you guys to actually be in the tank. Right, so let me grab this pipe that we have over here, and we simply are going to stick it on the side like this. And guys, I have mine set up so that I can use a remote control like this, right? And this is simply something that you can buy from most electronic shops that controls your lamps, for example, right? So you go on off and you can switch your lamps on and off in your house. Well, I use it for my pump. You can use it for other things like your lights in your room and whatever, right? So let me press our button. Hopefully this isn't too strong because my hose is a little bit shorter over here than the previous one, so that means that the pressure is much higher, right? So let's press a button and we'll see how strong it is. Let's go. Oh Jesus! It's much stronger than I thought, right? So this GoPro is waterproof, but everything else attached to it isn't, right? So next, guys, we're actually going to add our salt. Let me show you the salt. I'll just switch this off 1 second so I can show the salt. This is approximately 4.5 kilos of salt. This is a Norwegian salt that has no additives at all. There's no clumping agents or anything like that. They haven't added anything to it. Let's switch on our water and I'll pour this in. This is, as I said, this is roughly about 4.5 kilos. Let's switch on the water. Yay! Who said shrimp keep us warm, right? So let's add our salt. Yes, I'm going to try and put it evenly across. I thought I'd give you a different angle over here. This is filling up really, really fast. So let's get our little device out. I don't know what this is used for in cooking, but I have acquired one from my wife, this thing. It has holes in it. Guys, I think I used to use this for ice fishing, for taking the ice out the hole. I think it's used for frying food and whatever else, right? But we need to mix the salt a little bit more than is happening here. So let's get in our little paddle thing and get our arm wet. Yes. The water has gone all over the place here. All right, because it is splashing around so much, I'm going to find the lid and I'm going to stick it on. Bob's your auntie, mate. Wow, doesn't that salt look good? Let's add in an air stone into here to help dissolve as most of the salt as possible, because we can't add anything else to this tank until all this salt is dissolved and we know our salinity, guys. Let's grab one of these air stones out of this vat of water here. Oh, that's a big fella. Let's stick you near the middle. Wow, that's a lot of air going through there. That's what we're looking for, guys. So if you're wondering how I can get so much air through this, I'm actually using one 60-litre pump that only has 2 outlets on it. Let's of course stick this lid back on so there's not an issue with humidity and water splashing all over the place. This is just a PVC plexiglass lid. It's like a glove. And yeah, this is looking good already. My God, I might actually start keeping saltwater tanks. Anyway guys, let's have a little look at the Opae Ula while we're here, because yeah, they are going berserk with the breeding. We've got all the babies in the middle. Bazillions of them. And they're all over the place in this tank. This top tank will be a really good home for them. I'm not sure, guys, will this be the largest tank on YouTube for Opae Ula? This is about 250 litres of water. It's going to be a cracking tank when it's done. And yeah, we'll have lots and lots of baby shrimp and other things to go in here, guys, right? And we're going to have a secret ingredient that we might add tomorrow. I won't tell you about it now, but the one thing that has to happen first, guys, is all this salt has to be gone. It has to be disappeared and dissolved into the water so we can get a reading, so we know the salinity of the water, and then we do the next part. Hello guys, it is day 2, right? All of our salt has completely dissolved, which is really good. So today we're going to actually be testing how much salt is actually in the water, right? And we're going to use a device called a refractometer. This is what I tried to say yesterday, and I kind of murdered the wording quite a lot, right? So this is what we're going to do. You actually put water on the tip of it here, this little part here, close the lid, and then you look through the end of this device here, and you're able to see the parts per million of salt concentration in this water, right? So I'm not sure, guys, if I'm actually going to be able to show you the actual reading in here, but what I'll do, right, is I'll put up on the screen what the reading should be, right? So what we're looking for here is what I mentioned yesterday. Yesterday is we're looking for a reading between 1.010 and 1.015, right? So we're going to actually test 2, because I want this water to kind of match the tank below a bit. So if it's kind of close we'll just have to drip acclimate the shrimp and it'll just be easy to put them in whatever else. But and we'll do that, and we're also going to do something else, like I promised yesterday. We're going to do something extra in here once we get our readings right. So let's get our little things done, readings done, and whatever else. Guys, I'm going to put this little thing to the lens, and I'm going to see if you could actually see anything in there. You kind of can. You kind of can. It's very, very hard, but you know, maybe I can actually take a picture of this on my phone or something and see if we can get it right. Because guys, what the problem is here is it's very hard for me to see things normally, and I have to wear glasses for this kind of distance close up, and this kind of doesn't really work that well when you're looking through our glasses. Like, I can't just see anything at all, right? So it is what it is. You have to take my word for it if we can't get a picture. So yeah, this is how you do it, right? So you open the little flap here, you see it, boop, like this. Make sure the lens is clean. You can also just give this a quick rinse with under the tap, make sure there's no dust and whatever else. That's what I've done. And then you get your water like this. And of course you don't have to use a turkey baster like I'm using. You can use something like a pipette probably, because all you need here, guys, is one big drop, and I don't mean fire all over the floor like I just did there. So you want one big drop. I'm going to try and do this with spilling this all over the place. And as I said, right, we're looking for something that is under 1.015. Right, that is our upper limit, right? So you give it a little tap like this because you want the water to spread out as much as possible. And then you must go over to under a light source, right? So there's a light source right there, right? So let's see if I can actually see anything. Oh my God, it's so hard. Let's see. 1.014, so we are within ballpark. That means we don't actually have to change anything. So I'll try, I'm going to stop the camera right now, and I'm going to try and get a picture of this so you guys can see as well. Alright guys, so I managed to get a picture of it just holding it like this on my screen. I don't know if this will even work, you can't see anything. I think this device is very, very light dependent, so I'm using my phone to actually get a picture of it, right? So I'll show you that on the screen in a minute, right? Okay, Shrimp Fam, we also mentioned there that we're going to do two tests, so I'm going to do the second one here while you're here. And yeah, let's get rid of that good salt water. I'm going to do this very gently underneath because we have baby shrimp in there, and I don't really want to suck them up, just for a test. Let's make sure there's nothing in there. There's nothing in there. Let's put our little amount onto our dripper here, onto our refractometer. Now, I'm awfully bad, guys, for saying the completely wrong word in my videos. The kids picked up on it yesterday when I was at the dinner table eating. How bad I am for actually saying the complete wrong thing. Let's see if you can see under here. Oh, it's exactly the same. If anything, it's a tiny bit under, so it's between 0.013 and 0.014, which is perfect. Alright, now that we have our readings, you would have seen both of them on the screen. I'm actually going to just give this a quick little rinse, guys. You should always remember to do this. I wasn't going to film this bit, but yeah, remember and clean your refractometer. So this is the box it comes in. I actually have recalibration fluid for this as well, which I suggest you buy for it, because yeah, readings can go wrong over time, guys. So it's important that you double check all this stuff. Let's get you in here, and yeah, let's move on to the next part. And the next part, guys, was the secret part that I'm going to do, right? So let's talk about this just briefly. Here we have a tank. The water is perfect. It's set up. It's probably still a little bit cold because when you have a large volume of water like this, it takes a long time to heat up. But apart from the temperature, there is nothing else in here apart from salt, water and salt, and that is it. So we want this tank to be inhabitable for our shrimp, right? And what do shrimp love more than anything? They love algae, right? So we're going to have to try and green up this tank, because right now there's probably zero nutrients in this tank that will actually provide enough green stuff on the walls for all our shrimp, right? So if we want this, you need to actually add something to the tank, right? So in a lot of cases, what a lot of people will do is they'll use something like ammonia. Like one of the ones I've seen someone use was Dr. Tim's ammonia solution or whatever it's called, and they were dosing it every week and whatever. But one of the ones I've learned to do, guys, that is just as good is is if you have bigger fish, a lot of you will have bigger fish, is to go into your bigger fish tank and remove the filter and just squeeze it into the tank, right? And you're putting lots and lots and lots of nutrients into the tank. And this is something I'm going to talk about probably in the future in another video, and that is that I'm intentionally going to set up a larger goldfish tank, not a lot of goldfish because I'm very conscious that a goldfish can actually grow to a big size, but we're going to set up a tank that's probably, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 foot, something like that, like the length of my body, a decent sized tank, and we're going to house it, guys, with a couple of goldfish and just let them grow and whatever else. And apart from being nice to watch, they're also going to serve a second purpose, and that second purpose is going to be we're going to use the sponge in it to help us cycle other tanks in the shrimp room, because goldfish are waste monsters. If you don't know, you never had goldfish before, they go through food like the clappers, right, and they produce a lot of waste. I've actually set up a lot of my tanks recently doing the same method, where the tank is bare apart from the soil, new soil and whatever else you put in, and it's really just lacking the oomph to get it going and get it started, right? And this is where our goldfish poop comes in. It's just brilliant. It's full of nitrates and other stuff that will just help actually bombard the tank with enough get up and go nutrients to start the tank and get us having green walls and whatever. Yeah, but don't take my word for it, because I'm going to do it now, and then we'll come back to this very tank when we start to see the green walls, right? Of course, as we always say in this channel, it's only 1 minute for you, but for me it might be a week or two. But yeah, let's get this stuff in the tank and you'll see what I mean. And if you have like a saltwater tanks, you guys that do saltwater tanks, you'll look at this, go, oh my God, Mark, what are you going to do? You're going to ruin that lovely clean water. Well, this is what shrimp life's all about, right? Shrimp eat poop and green and nutrients and whatever else. They eat nutrients, is that even a thing? They do, we all eat nutrients kind of. Let's get this done. Right guys, here is our lovely concoction, right? And I can see concoction. Did I say the right word there? Concoction, I can't say it. This is our lovely sponge. I actually used this one in my big tank the other time. If you want to go back and check one of my other videos, there was it has a lot of algae. Well, this is how I'm doing it. I've been feeding my goldfish duckweed, so they've been processing the duckweed, eating the duckweed, and there's a lot of green poop in this tank, right, and a lot of it's going in here as well. So it's just goldfish are just awesome for going through stuff like this. I've made sure there's no snails and whatever else in here, guys. The bacteria that will come at this sponge will go into this tank, but most of it will die. 99.9% of it will die. I'll have to rinse all the salt water back off the sponge when I put it back on to the goldfish tank through there. But the contact time that we're going to have in here is not long enough to kill all the bacteria in the sponge, right? So don't get into the comments and go, Mark, you're just doing it wrong and blah, blah, blah. Here's our sponge. Let's get in here. Let's see how dirty this bad boy is. I'm going to put the water in as well. I'm not expecting this one to be too dirty because I actually used it not too long ago in my other tank down there, and it wasn't even dirty then. But yeah, we'll get some of this stuff out here. And the reason we're doing this, guys, is we want all this crap, literally, we want all the crap to coat the glass. That's why we're going to keep the oxygen up as high as possible, because this is what's going to feed our algae in the future. This is what's going to get it started, right? So if you just put something on the bottom, like food, like I've done in the past, the glass on the side is going to take longer to green up. You see the tank next to it over there? You probably just see it. Where do you think I'm learning this stuff from? It's not just by chance that I'm suddenly getting bazillions of algae and whatever else. I've been learning, I've been YouTubing, Googling all this stuff out. So this isn't as bad, anywhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let me just give it a double squeeze, both hands. But it is enough, there's enough nutrients and whatever else on here to get this started. Right, and as I said, I'm going to rinse this with cold water, cold fresh water, and then we're going to stick it back in the tank. Guys, next time you will see this in about 2 weeks, but for you guys it will be one momento. Hello guys, it has been approximately 3 weeks, and you can see here that it has went nice and green. It's green enough for us to get a good start in this tank and get on to the next phase of our little build here that we're going to do. Right, so today guys, in this part of the video, what we're going to do here is we are actually going to add in all the rest of the hardscape that we have in this container here. And we're going to add the filter, but I have to clean the filter first a little bit with some of the water that's in here, so I'm going to have to get some water from there into a bucket and clean the filter, right? So you'll see all that coming up. Let's get it started, because yeah, this tank is taking a wee bit longer than it should be. Let's go. Let's put our net on like this. We're going to start to fill it up with some salt water, because this is what we're going to use to clean our sponge filter before we go into this tank. And guys, just a word of warning before we do this, this tank is going to look an awful mess in the beginning. It's just the way it's going to be, because we're going to be stirring up so much crud from before. Yeah, it's just going to look a total disaster in the beginning, but we'll get the rocks in, we'll get the filtration in today, we'll probably add in the shrimp as well. And yes, I'm actually going to have to go through all of this water like this into other buckets and then drain it to get all the shrimp out of this container, because yeah, there's actually more shrimp in here than what we missed in the first actual removal of the shrimp from the tank in the first place. Remember when we took about 30-40 shrimp out of the tank? Yeah, there's even more in here now. So this, it goes to show you how clingy little Opae Ula can be. So bear that in mind guys, that when you do this, yeah, shrimp cling to stuff. So let's get this emptied and we'll get that filter out. Right guys, so here is our filter. It is looking pretty caked and stuff. Remember what I said, Opae Ula are very small, so yeah, it's important that we give this a few dunks in clear water so we can actually see any shrimp coming off. Right, so we go like this. This is the container that we just filled. Up and down, at least a few times like this. And then back into its old container. And then we use our eyes like this to look into here, and just to see if we can actually see any shrimp, any baby shrimp or whatever, right? And I can't see anything at all, so I'm quite happy that we can actually clean this, right? So I'm going to bring you over so you can see how dirty this sponge filter actually is. Okay, let's get this sponge apart so we can actually start to clean it. This is just a standard sponge filter like this. Put these bits to the side, take it apart, give it a little sugar like this to get all the junk off it. And yeah, and this is going to be quite dirty, I think. Let's have a little look. It's not too bad, actually, for the amount of crud and junk that was in that tank before. And the reason I'm doing this now, guys, is because I want this filter to work well from the beginning, because this tank is going to be quite a mess and I want it to clear up as soon as possible, so then we can turn down our filtration to make it more like what the Opae Ula habitat is like in the wild. So this is probably clean enough. So let's add in our filter that is over here. I've actually changed the cable in here because sometimes with the old PVC type cable it gets a little bit harsh, so let's add this back in. And placement, guys, I'm just going to put it right at the back of the tank right now, because we're going to put rocks and stuff in here as well. Let's add in our rock now. I'm just going to put these rocks in like a line going across the tank like this. I'm probably just going to keep these little small bits like this as just a little bit of crushed coral. Let's put it right to the very end for now. This is a larger piece of coral, and yeah, I'm just going to put it near the middle. But when you do this, guys, just remember, don't drop this stuff in your tank or you'll break the glass. So just take your time. This might be the centre piece actually. This is quite a nice piece for the middle, and you can see what I was talking about with all the crud that it gets lifted up when you put stuff in and whatever. This is a little bit ceru stone, can go anywhere in the tank. Here we have quite a large piece of lava rock, and it actually has a little bit of Cheeto macroalgae actually stuck to it, right? So you would have seen my other tank, all the little macroalgae and stuff that I like to have in my tank. So I'm going to get a good grip of this before I go above the tank. I'm going to place it in, you see what I mean? It's always good to make sure your grip is good before you do stuff, right? And then we have another piece of coral. You can see it has a lot of algae, macroalgae already on it. This is all goodness. The shrimp love this kind of stuff. And we go. And guys, I have another probably 5 pieces of that size to put in. I'm just going to put in this little bit of macroalgae in the tank, so I'm going to let it free float. And yeah, we'll be good to go to put the shrimp that's in there into this tank. Next guys, we actually have to move all this water here into this container, and this is to get all the shrimp. You can see the shrimp swimming around in here. There'll be a little floater shrimp in here and a little shrimp that are like 1 millimeter in size. We have to get them out of here, and guys, I'll do the first bucket like this just so you can see. Maybe not the best idea with my left hand, but this is how we do it. I'm going to have to go through all this water like this. So we have our gunk and all of our little shrimp in here. Let's get them in the tank. What do you think? Looks pretty bare right now, and it's very cloudy. It doesn't look very nice, does it, to be honest? But guys, just remember, this is an Opae Ula tank. What eventually will happen is all these walls will go green and the tank will become absolutely full, chock-a-block with Opae Ula. I'm just trying to see if we can see any of the ones that we put in swimming around, because when we put them in there was actually quite a lot. There's something like 10. That's 10 that we missed to take out from the last time. See them? 1, 2, more at the back. And guys, this is what we will eventually be putting into that tank as well, because we have bazillions of Opae Ula and I've always wanted to give them a bigger home, and that is what they will see. Guys, if you want to see more content like this, then please click on the next video. You won't be sorry.